Hi, everyone. Dr. Greg Wells here. Great to see you. And thank you for joining me for this program. We're really excited to work with you as we navigate the body, mind, life framework for healthy high performance. And the very first area that I always begin with in this whole field is sleep. Because when we look at the research, and I'm a researcher at Sick Kids Hospital, so this is me at my lab where I do a lot of MRI research, and I will show you MRIs of the human body. But when we explore the science of health, well-being, and high performance, inevitably, no matter whether you're in a medical situation, you're just interested in doing well at work, you want to be a good family person, or you want to actually do well in sports or business or whatever it is that you happen to be, academics, learning, everything depends upon your ability to get a good night's sleep, to recover, to regenerate, to heal. And that is why we always begin with this principle of sleeping soundly. This is not easy. This is difficult to do in our world where we are constantly being inundated with light from our screens. But ultimately, when we have a chance to do this, to sleep well, it feels so amazing. And it's really critical for your physiology also. When we sleep well, our system that I'm showing you here, called the lymphatic system, works well. Now you'll notice that this system, which is a parallel circulatory system, it runs right next to your arteries and veins. It's full of a clear fluid called lymph, which you've all seen. If you've ever broken a blister, that clear fluid that came out of your blister, that's lymph. It flows through your, shouldn't have broken the blister. If you did break the blister, that you've seen lymph, which is the fluid that flows through your body all the time. It picks up viruses, bacteria, broken down cells, waste products, and pulls that into your lymphatic system where white blood cells from your immune system fight off all those invaders. This is the system that keeps your body healthy. This is the system that keeps your body clean. This actually fights off colds and flus. That's why your doctor feels the lymph glands in your neck to see if you're fighting off a cold or the flu. It's also involved in the prevention of cancer. Imagine we were worried about breast cancer spreading to the lymph nodes in the underarm. So very important for that as well. But you'll notice that the system is present in the stomach, the chest, the arms, the neck, and it gets up to about the cheeks and then it stops. It's not in the head. And up until very recently, we didn't know how the brain accomplishes what the body accomplishes in terms of keeping itself healthy, clean, and well. Some research has been done that sheds some light on this topic. This is a beautiful MRI scan, a diffusion tensor imaging scan of the brain. I love seeing the beautiful complexity of the brain, and we can now image it with no needles, no radiation, pretty cool stuff. Now, what we have discovered is that in the brain, at the microscopic level, we have 100 billion neurons. These are the cells that create thinking, problem solving, concentration, focus, math, arts, music, sports. Everything happens at these neurons, in these neurons. And at night when we sleep, these 100 billion neurons that we have inside of our brain that create thinking, problem solving, concentration, focus, music, arts, drama, business, all of it, those shrink by about 60%. And all this space opens up inside the brain. And a clear fluid called cerebral spinal fluid washes through the brain every single night while we sleep. This has been called the lymphatic system. We've imaged this beautiful brainwashing, if you will, that occurs in the brain every single night while we sleep. If you want to look this up, the original researcher that described this was Jeff Iliff, Illiff, and he did a very cool TED Talk on this from a while ago now. But if you want to see him describe this system, it's actually really, really cool. It's a great TED Talk. Jeff Iliff, look it up. Just look, Jeff Iliff, TED Talk, sleep. You'll find it. And it's a really, really powerful one for you. Now, what we have discovered is that at night while this lymphatic system is working, that fluid moves through the brain, picks up viruses, bacteria, broken down cells, waste products, and pulls that up into the network of vessels that line the inside of your skull. These are connected to the lymphatic system in the body. And every single night while you sleep, the brain cleans itself out. That fluid then moves up to the inside of your skull and drains itself out into the body every single night while you sleep. That's how we keep our brain healthy, clean. That's how it recovers and it regenerates. So we really have learned why we need to sleep. It's because that's when the brain heals, repairs, recovers, and regenerates. We are also learning how much sleep we actually need. When we consider the way that, get myself out of the way here, there we go. When we consider the way that the brain works and sleep works, what we have discovered here is that there's 4 different types of sleep. We have REM in stage 1, 2, and 3. REM is when you dream. Stage 1 and stage 2 are often known as light sleep or core sleep. If you're using a wearable to track your sleep, that's what they'll tell you. And then deep sleep is stage 3. So it's stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, REM, and then non-REM sleep. Throughout the course of the night, we cycle through these various different stages, and we cycle through these various different stages in such a way that deep sleep happens more early in the night and REM sleep happens more later in the night. So you do your brainwashing early and you do the REM dreaming in the second half of sleep. We cycle through these stages of sleep in roughly 90-minute increments, and the research is pretty clear that you need 5 complete sleep cycles, roughly 90 minutes each, to have the lowest risk for all-cause mortality. That's dying of cancer, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, depression, all of it wrapped up in once. Lowest risk of neurodegenerative diseases as well. That's sort of the 5 complete sleep cycles, 90 minutes each, ballpark 7 to 8 hours is really what we're looking for. So if you're in that 7, 8 hours, you're all good. Less than that, we'd want to try to bump it up. Even more than that, we want to try to make sure that if we're sleeping a lot, look into that. Ask your doctor about it. That might be an indication that you're sick, you're fighting off a cold or the flu. There's something that needs to get looked at there. So we want to be in that 7 to 8 hours window, really 6 to 9 hours at the most, but like dialing it in for that middle zone, 7 to 8 hours. 5 complete sleep cycles, 90 minutes each, to have the lowest risk for all-cause mortality. It's basically just like the healthiest possible life. Now, the younger that you are, the more sleep that you need. So as you can see here, teenagers need a little bit more, preschoolers a little bit more, infants, toddlers a lot more, right through to newborns that sleep for like 20 hours a day, right? So the younger you are, the more sleep cycles that you need in order to get through that. And I think from my work in especially schools, that most children are not getting these numbers. So this is something that we all need to work on in our businesses, our homes, our schools. Everyone needs to be thinking about this to get to the level that we need to get to in order to be healthy, well, and to really thrive. Because what we've also discovered is that we learn at night when we sleep. In fact, the way that happens is that we grow new neural connections at night when we sleep. And this is how we encode information that we have picked up during the course of the day into long-term memory. The way that happens is you gather info from your ears, your eyes, your ears, that goes into the hippocampus, it stays there, and then at night when we sleep, it gets sent out into the cerebral cortex where it's encoded into long-term memory. That happens largely in deep sleep when the brain is washing itself out, the neurons have shrunk, there's space for new connections to be made inside the brain, and that has even been imaged. It's really quite cool. So learning occurs in the first half of sleep. In the second half of sleep, that's when creativity, the stage is set for creativity, innovation, and problem solving. And what happens there is different regions of the brain become active at the same time. They make new connections between each other. And that's the dreaming state that we're in. That's when the brain is rewiring itself. And when we get enough sleep, that allows for enough REM sleep, which is what appears to be associated with the creativity, innovation, and problem solving that we all need to do right now so much in the world because there's so many problems to solve. There's so many innovations that need to be created. There's so much creativity that could help the world be a better place. So when we sleep well, we learn better, we're more creative, and ultimately that sets the stage for us being amazing cognitively so we can make the world a better place and experience life at the highest possible level. So let's really aim for those 5 complete sleep cycles, 90 minutes each, roughly 7 to 8 hours, and try to do the best that we can to ensure that when we are asleep, we're sleeping well. And in order to do that, I challenge you not to do this. This is something that is a huge, I believe, detriment to our ability to fall asleep and to stay asleep. The reason why is this. When we have our devices and we shine them into our eyes late at night, that light enters into the brain. This is an MRI scan of the brain, sliced through the head at the level of the eyes. You're looking at it from above. You can actually see the eyeballs up there in the brain around back, spinal cord in the middle. probably the medulla actually in the middle. And then we can zoom in and you can see those eyeballs right there. And what happens when we have these devices and we shine them into our eyes is that light passes through the eyeball, hits the back of the eyeball right there, and a structure that looks like this that converts light into electricity. That electricity shoots back through the optic nerve into a structure called the pineal gland that releases a hormone called melatonin. Now, melatonin controls your sleep-wake cycles. And when we shine light into our eyes late at night, we are signaling electrically to the pineal gland that it's morning, it's noon, the sun just came up. As a result, it makes it really difficult for us to fall asleep and for us to stay asleep. So please consider giving yourself a break from these devices late at night. And to that end, I want you to think about this simple idea here, which is to defend your last hour. This is some data that I got from an Oura ring that I was wearing that tracked my sleep. As you can see, in this case, I was awake for the first 3 hours of sleep, staring at the ceiling with my mind racing. The reason why that was happening is that I worked right up until the last possible second. And of course, when you're working, your brain is activated, everything's going on. I'm doing email, all that sort of stuff, lay down in bed, mind racing, can't fall back asleep again. We've all been there. This happens. The next night I did this. I implemented this protocol, which is something I wrote up, ironically, on my iPad when I wasn't sleeping. But anyway, the point being is I wanted to be able to love life and create an evening routine that allowed me to sleep. Awesome. Connect with my family to recover and to regenerate. So from 6 to 7, screens go off, do dinner with my family, kids get into bed, baths, reading, all that sort of stuff. I wrote this up when my kids were younger, obviously. They're older now. This has been compressed later in the evening as that has happened. 7 to 8, kids are in bed, hang with Judith, do dinner with Judith. Judith's my wife, just to be super clear about who I'm hanging out with late at night. Yoga, relax, chill, walk, all those sorts of things. 8 to 9 is meditation, gratitude, journaling, therapy, those sorts of things like foam rolling, whatever you got to do. 8:30 to 9, hot bath, cool shower to decrease body temperature, which triggers the releases of melatonin, Epsom salts if I've done a workout. So I can be in bed by 9, read for 20 minutes so that I can fall asleep by 9:30, and then I wake up at the right time. This is pretty complicated. We can simplify it. The simple version of this is the 20-20-20 protocol. And the way that this works is I'd like you to think about defending that last hour. And when you defend that last hour, I want you to try to think of 3 things that you can do in that last hour that help you to deactivate, to calm down, to slow down. And it ends up looking something like this. So in this case, get out of the way again, move myself over here. You might do something like take a hot bath. When you're done that, grab your journal a little bit about your day. 20 minutes, read fiction. Fiction helps you to activate the dream state. We don't want to be reading like an industry report or something like that, or God forbid the news, or really don't check your email, because we want to be doing things that are helping us to calm down, to settle, to relax, to regenerate, to set the stage for falling asleep and staying asleep. You could add meditation here. You could add talking to your partner or spouse. You could add all sorts of things, whatever works for you to help you to calm down and to relax. Now, I've got a workbook associated with this presentation, this session, that guides you through creating the Defend Your Last Hour protocol, the 20-20-20 protocol. So download that, check it out, print it, do the work, and figure out what this looks like for you. Because when I did this, when I run my protocol, my evening protocol, my 20-20-20, I fall asleep and I stay asleep. And most importantly, I get that deep sleep. So when we get that deep sleep, I'm so much better at everything that I do. All right, so I've had a couple questions come in that I want to address. And very specifically, the first question that I want to address is this one. I wake up in the middle of the night and I can't get back to sleep again. So it's important for us to realize that this is actually a natural thing. Like, it happens, and a few times a night you are going to wake up. As long as you fall back asleep again within a few minutes, no big deal. But if you wake up and you can't fall back asleep again, the first thing that you can do is to prevent this from happening. The way that we prevent waking up in the middle of the night and not being able to fall back asleep again is by running that 20-20-20 protocol and thinking about this deep sleep planner. So this is what it looks like in the workbook, but essentially what we're doing here is we're trying to figure out 2 hours before sleep, what are we trying to do to calm ourselves down? That could be getting rid of the work from the day, cleaning up the kitchen, whatever it happens to be. Then 20-20-20 protocol into lights out. When we run that defend your last hour routine, that prevents us from waking up in the middle of the night. However, sometimes it happens, in which case I encourage you to think about this protocol here. Now, this is progressive relaxation. The way that this works is that you contract your muscles, take a deep breath in, and you let them go. And you do that at your feet, then your calves, then your shins, quads, hamstrings, glutes, stomach, chest, upper back, hands, upper arms, face, scalp. It takes about 5 minutes. Contract your muscles. Deep breath in and let everything go. Make sure that the contractions are a few seconds long and the relaxations are like 20 seconds long. And that slowly calms you down throughout the course of the night. It feels absolutely amazing. It's called progressive relaxation. Look it up. There's loads of videos that show you how to do this and even audio files that will walk you through this. It's really, really helpful. All right, another question I get often is, are naps okay? The answer is there's two types of naps that work and one that does not. The first type of nap that works is the power nap. So basically 20 minutes or less and you wake up out of REM or stage 1. That improves cognitive performance. The second type of nap that works is the full sleep cycle nap. That's 75 to 90 minutes, no alarm this time. You do use an alarm for the power nap. You do not use an alarm for the full sleep cycle nap because you want to wake up naturally, again, out of REM or stage 1 sleep so that the brain is not washing itself out. The type of nap that does not work is the interrupted nap where you wake up out of stage 2-3 deep sleep. That's when the brain's washing itself out. You wake up, you feel nauseous, you've got brain fog, you just can't get going. So we want to avoid that. So the power nap, 20 minutes or less, set an alarm. Full sleep cycle nap, 75 to 90 minutes. That gives you a growth hormone pulse too, which also heals, repairs, and regenerates the body. So 20-minute power nap for your brain, full sleep cycle nap, brain and body. Avoid the 30 to 60-minute nap in the middle because that's just not going to help you. And then the final question I think we have time for today is, what about alcohol? And what we have discovered about alcohol is that it wipes out stage 2-3 deep sleep. So you pass out, but the brain doesn't do that brainwashing work to heal, repair, recover, regenerate, and to make itself better. So we really want to try to avoid alcohol these days. The research has become quite clear that there's no safe consumption limit when it comes to cancer and heart disease. So alcohol is one of those things we need to try to really minimize in our life. I will have a glass of wine from time to time, just not very often. But if we're in the 2 to 3 drinks a day, we really need to try to reduce that, confine it to the weekends because it is not serving you. I know that CBD and THC or cannabis are big topics these days. What we've discovered is that THC blocks REM sleep. So it makes you feel like you're sleeping all night, but you lose that creativity. But CBD, the non-psychoactive component of cannabis, seems to help us to fall asleep faster, but that won't help you because the effects wear off over a few weeks. So if you need a reset, cool, but not something to be used on a consistent basis over an extended period of time. All right. So that's it for us when it comes to sleep. I'm just moving ahead to a couple slides here. And I'm really glad that you wanted to start this with me. I'm really glad that you wanted to go through this process of this program, this course, Sleeping Soundly is the Foundation. It takes a lot of time. When my family was struggling with sleep, it took us like 6 months to sort this out. So try little things, experiment, use yourself as a laboratory. There's a workbook that accompanies today's session. Check that out. Do the exercises to get some clarity upon strategies that you can use to help yourself sleep better. If you have any questions, ping me through my website, drgregwells.com. All of those come to me and my team and I will get back to you. Here's the power of improving your sleep. Increasing sleep from 5 to 7 hours a night can decrease your risk of heart attack or stroke by up to 45%. Research, ironically, by Professor Cappuccino, but entirely relevant. If you want to track your sleep and you happen to have an Apple Watch, do check out the Vivio app. It's viv.io. And that is, we believe, the best app because we created it for helping you to track your sleep and to get individualized recommendations. If you want to learn more, everything I spoke about today is in my book, The Ripple Effect. There is an entire chapter on sleeping better. So if you want to read about this, please check out that book. That's where the details of everything I've just said today are presented. The video for today, the replay, and the workbook are all available here at drgregwells.com/performance. The other videos in this session are also there, but sleeping soundly is part 1. So check that out. And if you want to flip me a question, do so through drgregwells.com, because that is a place where we get all of those emails and we will answer you and get back to you and support you. So that's it for this session. Thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it. We'll see you in the next one. Stay healthy and well. And we're really excited about having you on this journey with us.